Etep right here with you, the place to be reviews. I am joined by my guest today, and we are going to be talking one of my favorite topics. You all already know it, Friday the 13th. I'm here joined by J-Man. What's going on, brother? Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been excited since we first talked about this, and I've never ranked the movies before, and it was very difficult. I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be because I actually love them all. This is the one franchise where I don't have that Nightmare 6 where I just can't get to, I could watch any one of the. You could just say we're doing them all. I'm like, yeah, let's do them all. So it was really difficult to rank these, but I'm excited. So
I have different attachments to each of them,
yeah,
except the Platinum Dunes one. That one, I've been very rough on that movie over the last 14 years. Like I've been very rough. It's like I almost feel like I've treated you unfairly,
right,
but it was with good reason that I smacked you around verbally.
right.
You know that's I give it credit now. I give it a little more credit for what it tried to do, but it was just the steps it took to get there.
Yeah.
I was like, let's back up a little bit because Jason's not Leatherface.
Yep.
And even then, did Leatherface have the mental acumen to set traps the
No.
way Jason did? He didn't. He
No.
didn't. So it's like, and I don't know, like my feelings on Jason is more of a revenant, like agent of vengeance,
Yeah.
kind of. That's how I've thought of him. Not as calculating as a
Yeah, I
Michael
agree.
Myers, but just a brute, blunt force object.
Yeah,
Of
he's
just.
just like nature or whatever. Like
Mhm.
this. Well, I mean, once we get, I mean, the remake is my weakest, obviously. So I mean, that's just that's easy. That's an easy one. But yeah, it was too if you can see Jason calculating and thinking of things, that's not Jason. You've kind of
No.
missed what it was. I like the idea of let's kind of remake part one in the first 5 minutes and then we remake two in the next 10 15 minutes with the bag on the
Mhm.
head and all that, which I do actually
Yeah.
really like, and the one eye hole and everything. And then it's like, all
Yeah.
right, then we get into Jason, but it was like, I get it, you want, they keep saying we got to change it up, and I understand that. And and then you get the Rob Zombie Halloween where it's like, well, let's change it up. Well, you've changed it so much that now you've like gone so changed it that this is not Jason
Mhm.
or Michael anymore. And yeah, they kind of just went too far. I watched it, I was like, well, there's nudity and good kills. So it's got the Jason with the mask. I was
Yep.
like, I'll give this a pass. Because all those remakes that were coming out at that time, or even the subsequent ones, I was just like,
Yeah.
like this one dropped the ball the least out of the remakes of the franchises, in my opinion. But I would have to think about that. But I think it dropped the ball the least. So, and I wasn't angry. I wasn't like, oh, this isn't like, I didn't like that Nightmare remake. We could talk about that another time,
Oh.
but
Whew.
I did not like that at all. Like, it
No.
kind of pissed me
No.
off. It's like, yeah, this is like not good. So then the Jason one, I was like, well, this is, it's in the forest. He's killing people. There's nudity. I'm like, I guess it's all
Right?
right.
He
So,
uses a sleeping bag as a gimmick, but yeah.
yeah,
Jason's not gonna tie that sleeping bag up over the fire and use it to bait the guy, and he just grabs it and smashes it into a tree until it stops moving, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm done. I move on to the next, victim."
yeah, he's got to be fast, furious, brutal. Like it should,
Hmm.
there shouldn't be like planning, right? Like,
No, no. When he had the lights rigged up, I'm just
yeah,
like,
like what's happening? Yeah,
oh yeah, like this is like the antithesis of what Jason does as far as his kills go. Like if he stalks somebody, he's stalking them. He's not like
right,
luring them into like a predetermined like trap he's set. Like he is the trap. Like
right,
once you're
right.
in front of him, he's gonna spring his trap by macheting you or just separating your head from your body
Right.
or any various ways. Thumbs into the eye sockets, however he decides to do it. And there's been so many kills that have been cut from these movies because of the MPAA.
Yeah.
It does such a disservice, like especially Tom Savini. Um, I mean, guys like that, you've got go through so much to make these kills look so good. And I think it was the one. It was part three, four. Four
Mhm.
had was it four? I'm trying to think. The bikers. That was three. That was the 3D one
Yep.
because you had and then in Miguel Nunez was in part five. That was what I was thinking of. The outhouse
Yeah,
kill.
I love it.
I, I know that's out of like the comedic type deaths in the franchise. That was one of them. Like him and his girlfriend. I was like, my
Ooh,
wife and I are
baby,
watching it.
ooh, baby.
She's like, is he? Are they singing to each other while he's taking a shit? I'm like, yep. She looks
Yeah.
at me. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good with that.
The thing, they built character. Well, we'll get to the ranking, and there's gonna be some
Yeah.
shockers on my side, but like they built memorable characters. That
They
character
did.
only exists in that movie
Yep.
for a small portion of time,
Yeah.
and you remember that. Ooh, baby, the enchiladas. Like,
Yep.
and I didn't rewatch the movies for this stream. The last time I've really watched the whole thing has been like years now, where I haven't really watched them in years.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I've seen them so many, like 1 through
Yeah.
8, it's like, they're
Yep.
ingrained. And then,
Mm-hmm.
but you're like, yeah, like every time I think about the characters, you think of those characters. There's the part 6 characters. Like it really
Yep.
focused on having some fun. Like
Yeah.
the dance girl, with the funky hair in part 5.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
she,
like
she's
the
great.
emo, like the
Yeah,
emo 80s, like
Yeah, it's like,
Depeche Mode type girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's doing the little rope thing. I was like, it was so funny.
she's awesome.
Oh, there was. And that's like part 5, I think, gets a lot of undue hate simply because of the Roy thing.
Right.
But and that was another. I was watching a video. They were talking about part 5 recently, and it's like, how did Roy take so much damage in that movie and keep going? It's like, yeah, he was just a normal guy too, and especially towards the end of that movie, it's like, yeah, you can finally see it start to wear on him a little bit, but it's like still like this guy took a beating through part of this, and just and then there's always the question of, well, why did he act so surprised when it was Joey? Did he, how old was he? Had a picture of him in his wallet.
Right. Yeah.
There was so much ambiguity there with that character.
Yeah. I actually I started writing a screenplay for Roy Lives. And then I was like, if there was copyright issues, I'd have a black mask with the blue triangles instead of a white mask with the red triangles, and have the blue triangles back, and do like a continuation on Roy. And I actually started making a Facebook group where I was going to actually continue the adventures of Roy and do it like a choose your own adventure, where I would post a little thing and then the group members could pick what they. Maybe I'll still do it because now I'm getting all pumped up for it again. and I did the font and everything. And part 5 was the first Friday the 13th I'd ever seen. So, and I was about 11 or 12 when that came out. So I think like part 6 may have been out. So I'd seen part 5 and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then we rented part 6. Now in part 6, he's the full on zombie, and Tommy Jarvis is continuing. So in my mind, I didn't realize that. I thought, oh, Roy is this character, and they somehow didn't, because I didn't, as a kid, I didn't understand that, oh, this is not Jason. Like I was like, oh, it is Jason. And then he gets resurrected. I was like, okay, so I didn't realize. And so I saw 5, 6, and then I saw 1, and then 2, 3, 4. So it took me a long time. It's like a year of me walking around thinking, oh yeah, that's Jason, and then I'm like, oh wait, that's not Jason. I'm like, oh, now I get it. Oh shit, it was a whole different guy. And as a kid, you're not picking up on these plot points. I'm just like, I just want to see boobs and killing, right?
Yep.
And really, that's and I'm like, oh my god, it's not Jason. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone hates this movie. I was like, sorry, I didn't get that memo. I loved it. Like it was the first one I'd seen. I never thought of anything. And then obviously 6 is like a masterpiece, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The remake's clearly the worst one, and then all the other ones I'm pretty okay with. So
yeah, see, Jason Lives was the first one I ever saw.
Oh wow!
So, I go right and I saw that I think the year after it came out, so I was about 7. Yeah, because that came out in '86. And I was about, I saw it the year after. I was 7 because my mom and my cousins rented it. So I just watched it with them because my cousins were like a couple years older than me. So I got to watch all like the adult oriented movies with them, especially horror, because they were all like huge horror freaks.
Right.
So I saw, that was the first one I watched, and I was like, I was like just enthralled with it, and my mom was like, "Well, there's other movies." So next time we went to like the video store, she rented part 5 for me, and 4, and I watched those two, and she's like, well, watch part 4 first. So I watched part 4, and then I watched part 5, and I was like, okay,
What
you
the
know,
hell's going on?
yeah, because the other ones weren't in, so we rented. And then I remember like the next year, finally like going back and watching like part 1, and she's sitting there explaining it to me, and like the whole first movie, I was like, the end of it, I remember because I was a little kid, I'm like, where's the guy with the mask? You know, I'm
Right,
like,
right.
Where's Jason? You know, it's his mom, and then you get into number 2, and it's like, okay, he's got a bag on his head. Like, what the hell?
Right.
You know, but after I watched him a couple times and she's explaining everything to me, I'm like, okay. Then I got caught up to part 6, and then 7 came out, and 8. I remember I snuck into the theater with my cousin who was like, we went to see. I can't remember what movie. My aunt. We were down. It was like a suburb of Detroit, and there was like one of those Star theaters. There was like 12 screens. So we went to see one movie, and then we just snuck into Jason Takes Manhattan, and we sat there and watched it. I was like, that movie was so cool as a kid. I was like, holy shit!
Sure.
Oh my god! And you don't even realize that he doesn't get to Manhattan until like the third act. You know, as a 9-year-old, you're like, whatever. It's just, he's been chopping his way through all these people. It's fine. You know.
Yep.
But no, I'm like you. The first 8, I can watch any of them and be perfectly at peace with that. Jason Goes to Hell. I get physically angry. I get physically angry at that one, and like Jason X, I enjoy it. I enjoy it more now.
Jason X.
It's fun. I just watched it with my kid for the first time,
Yes.
and I got the Scream Factory Blu-ray set. My wife got it for me for Christmas. So we're watching it, and I'm like, Trey, you want to watch Jason X? And he goes, what's that? I'm like, he goes outer space. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So we what? Because he's seen what? He's seen 5, 6, 7, and 8 with me, and I think he's seen the first one too. He's watched like almost all of the Halloween movies, almost all the Fridays. He hasn't seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm like, I'm gonna hold off on the guy with but he was Freddy. He was Freddy from Nightmare 3 this year for Halloween, but he's never seen the movies. He's watched some trailers, but I'm like I said, the things that murder you in your dreams, we're gonna wait on that.
Yeah, because you do dream. Like, it's less likely that a zombie hockey mask wearing killer is going to attack you at night, but you do have bad dreams, and that did always level up Freddy in people. Jason's my favorite, but like it leveled him up a little bit to more creep fact. Like, I'm never scared of anything. I've never been scared at any horror movie ever. Like, I saw Terrifier 2 3 times. I didn't barf at any time. Like, I'm not throwing up.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my god. We could talk privately. It's it may be, it's pretty rough, but like people are throwing up. It's like, I don't get that, and I don't get scared by Blair Witch or any of this other bullshit. Nah. So I'm just looking for cool characters, right? So it's like Jason, like is just cool, and Freddy was always like just that little bit of the creep factor because it's like in the dreams and the killing the children. Yeah, it was just like, ooh, this is a little bit more. And there are those people who are like, yeah, the nightmares are the number one, and then the Jasons are number 2, or Halloween. You know, those are the 3 in battle with each other. Like, what is
constantly.
I love
supremacy.
Them all. Yeah, I love them all. I have all 3 characters right there. So I can't say I equally love them all because Jason's my guy. My actual name is Jason, so that helps.
Yeah, a little bit partial. A little partial
to that. So and I've dressed up as I showed you. I did this was my cheapy mask. I brought that to show you. That's the mask I made as a little kid. I put the triangles and stuff, and I have the part 3 novelization.
Okay,
it is absolutely torn to. Like, I read this a million times. I did a book report in grade 6.
That's so awesome.
On Friday. The teacher accepted it. He thought it was hilarious, and I redrew a Jason picture myself, and I read the whole book and I reported on it. And this is part 3, which has lots of nudity, drug use, and it's like, he's like, yeah, go for it. I said, are you seriously going to let me do part? He's like, yeah, do it. He goes, sure. He goes, I promote reading. If it's a horror book, read it. I was like, wow. That was the best teacher I ever had.
Very base teacher. That's awesome. And yeah, part 3 basically had the character that was Tommy Chong. Like the one stoner with the long hair, the shaggy, the dude that got killed in the basement. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
It's I know his name. I'll remember.
But He was basically Tommy Chong. Like, dude looked exactly like Chong.
Yes, I didn't even realize that.
I mean, it's just, that was so on the nose. And that's the first movie where Jason gets the hockey mask from Shelley, which is great. I always liked the character of Shelley.
Me too.
I liked Shelley. I felt bad for Shelley. I was like, this dude just wants a girl and he doesn't know how. He has no like idea how to like woo a woman at all. He's just so terribly awkward. It's like, oh my God, this is me as like a young kid. Like, oh.
And he's scaring them and all that. Well, I saw 3 in the theater in 3D with some of the producers or something. That I can't remember who exactly was there. And they said, I live in Toronto, Canada. And that's why, because they shot it in Canada and they wanted a hockey mask because that was Canada's sport. So that's why they got a hockey mask. And I thought, this is just the greatest thing ever. It's like, it's Canadian, it's my name, it's the hockey mask. I'm like, this is just like the best. And the 3D was like because it first comes like Friday 13th and then it comes forward more.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, you're like, I mean, this is pretty awesome. It was actually pretty good 3D, and like the eye popping and the yo-yo and the chopping the guy, downward.
Oh yeah, Mark when he's walking on his hands.
Yeah, yep. It's like boom, and he does, and it's like this way coming towards you.
Yeah, the way they shot that was freaking amazing. I talked about that in my review of part 3. I did. God, I reviewed it was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think I did those. But yeah, there was so many creative ways. And yeah, I've never seen it in 3D the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, I would. That's something I would really like to do. Part 4, we get the introduction of the Jarvis family, and there's that deleted scene with the mom in the dream sequence with her in the bathtub. I think it was Tommy finds her in the bathtub upstairs, and she kind of like. I think she sits up or something, but it was all a dream. I haven't watched the deleted scenes for that one in a while.
Oh God, not. I said when I first bought, I bought every set that comes out, and then you try to watch everything, and then after a while, you're just like, did I watch these already? And then you start to watch because when the movie is so ingrained in like deleted scenes actually throw you off because when you've seen a movie many times, and then you see this, you're like, this is weird, and I don't like it. It's almost where it's like. It's just like you're messing with my memory of it, and it just feels weird, like. But there was something weird with that scene. I can't remember. Like, I don't even know why. Like, part 4 these are short movies, which is also why you can rewatch them a lot.
Yep.
90-minute horror movies.
Yeah, 85 to 90 minutes is like perfect.
It's perfect. And then you can replay them a lot, but and that's how you like memorize all the kills. And you're like, get your friends, we got to watch this again,
Yep.
But the deleted scenes, it's always neat to see those. But sometimes I'm like, I'm glad. The only thing I don't like deleted is the gore. Part 7 got nailed a lot. Part 5 got nailed a lot. 6 got nailed a lot. Like all of those ones got really nailed, and you feel bad for the filmmakers. And I wish they would do. I hate this release the whatever cut, but if people are getting all these cuts of these other movies that are questionably good, where's my cut? Where's my director's cuts and my extended editions of all these Friday the 13th with the gore put back in them? Like, how come someone doesn't do that? I think Paramount was so embarrassed because they're like, well, we make Star Trek movies and Indiana Jones films, and we don't make these Friday the 13th trash movies, except that they cost nothing to make. They kick ass in the theater. They make tons of money, and it's like their most successful franchise. And they're like, we're kind of embarrassed about this franchise, but it makes money. So,
how much merch they sell? I just dude, you're talking years and years and years later, and it's like my son is 7 years old, and he loves Jason Voorhees. He's. If I get a Jason shirt, he wants one because he loves the character. He wants to watch the movies with me. It was a big thing because he was Freddy and I was Jason for Halloween. So, part 6 Jason, but it was it's fun to like introduce people to these movies, and it's like you create a whole new generation of fans, and it really keeps the stories alive. And you were talking about I'm writing a Friday the 13th screenplay right now. It's part 9. We're ignoring anything after Manhattan. It basically picks up right after about a couple months after Jason takes Manhattan, and I'm like, no, we're going back to Crystal Lake, and we're gonna
Right.
stay there because this is where he belongs in that setting, in that environment. And I mean, it's put it this way. I mean, I have 35 characters, and
Wow.
there's not many survivors. It's brutal. I
One
mean,
every 5 minutes, one
I
death
I
per.
I come out with the thunder, dude. It's like the opening sequence of the movie before the title card. The way I've got it set up will be about 15 to 20 minutes, and you're gonna see a lot in that. I pack it in there because I've got the beginning, I've got the very opening sequence, and the very end, like the boss battle written out,
Right.
and I'm building everything in between it now. And yeah, it's I'm yeah, Jason is going to be very, very, very brutal in this. I noticed something in my writing. I'm like, I am a fan of decapitations. I'm like, son
Oh.
of a bitch. I am a fan of decapitations in all shapes and sorts.
Oh my gosh.
But those are some of like his, like one of my favorite kills is probably like, I just because I preferential at part 6 is Sheriff Garris.
Yeah.
He he's hitting him with that log, and all of a sudden it's like kink, and then he gets reverse folded up like the bed in Freddy vs. Jason.
Right.
He gets that treatment, just bent over backwards.
That was awesome. That was actually
was.
well realized too. And even go back to those movies, and it's like a lot of work was put into the creative deaths, which is why you said it is sad when they're cut. But even when they're not cut, you're like, whoa, that was pretty good. And there's actually a lot of memorable things. Well, part 6, I mean, whatever. We'll get to the ranking, but
Yeah.
like part 6 obviously is going to be very, very, very high, and it got a lot of play. That was one movie that sort of, I think it was more open to more of an audience. There was kids there. We never really saw little kids at Chris. Like it was mostly like the counselors were getting things set up, or they're just going off to doing their own thing, and then they're just sneak into the camp or whatever it is. This was actually like legit. Like okay. Lake Forest Green or what, they'd rename it. It's like, okay, now it's going to be a legitimate camp. Everything's said and done. We're all good. And it just coincides with Tommy Jarvis inadvertently resurrecting Jason, where Jason now fully becomes a Frankenstein monster. Like all of these modern characters are like Freddy is a Dracula type. The Mummy is like a Michael Myers silent. And it's like all of these universal monsters got kind of reincarnated as your 80s slasher villains.
Your slashers.
Which is very interesting. I saw someone write up, this was back in university, we were talking about, I took horror classes in university. My university had horror movie classes. I did a presentation on Sleepaway Camp Part 2. Which is like the best movie ever made. But
I've never seen that one. I've never seen the second one. I just watched the first one last summer.
Oh my God.
Nick Utan was like, you have to watch Sleepaway Camp. So I was editing a video and I put it on, and I was like, it comes to the end, and I was like,
yeah.
What the hell did I just watch? Like, oh my God.
Part 2. So it's Bruce Springsteen's sister is the killer in part 2 and 3. Pamela Springsteen. And so Angela Baker's fully transitioned or whatever, so she is the girl now. There is so many deaths, and it is so funny. Sleepaway Camp Part 2 is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I give my 100% J-Man approved. I promise you. 3 I still really like. It's some people don't like it as much, but Part 2 is a masterpiece. I've seen that just as many times as some of the better Friday 13th movies.
Oh wow, okay.
I love Sleepaway Camp. It's so funny, but yeah. So it's like there's all these people like talking about it. It's like, yeah, it's a legit franchise. It's like, yeah, he's the now modern Frankenstein monster. He can get resurrected through the lightning. They did the montage of the James Bond montage of the eye, which is really cool. That's fun, right?
Yes.
It was replayed a lot here in Canada. We had like a little bit of a horror station.
Okay.
And they would replay these movies all the time. So part 6 got the most play. We'd go outside and we'd play part 6, and we'd be like, okay, like I'll be Jason, I'll hunt you guys all down. Then then this guy's gonna be Jason and hunt us down. And I mean, it just it was awesome. And we made our own movies in high school. These guys made their movie, and I watched. I didn't know them, and they said, "Oh, we make movies," and they made a Jason movie, and it was called The Capture of Jason. And they literally capture him and handcuff him, and the cops take him away. And I said, have you guys watched any of these movies? And like, no. I'm like, yeah, you know how I know that? Because that can't happen. Jason can't be handcuffed. And they're like, oh, I said, he's like a zombie. They're like, oh, I was like, oh my God. And then I showed them all the movies. And then I was like, now we have to correct your problem. We have to remake your movies.
We have to reboot your franchise already after one entry.
It's like we're like in high school kids making a movie with our camcorder. No, and I'm like the anal guy. No, this doesn't make sense. You can't do this. Jason doesn't do it. And they all hate me. They're like, this guy's so anal. We just want to have fun. I'm like, no, you can't have fun unless it's properly like an adaptation.
Yeah, I don't think you realize what you're doing here is wrong. In so many ways, it's wrong. Yeah, that's that's not gonna happen. Jason, we're gonna handcuff you now.
Yeah, they took him away. I'm like, no, you can't arrest him. And they're like, they arrested him. At the end, I said, no, that doesn't happen. Like, oh man,
that's like the end of Halloween 5 where they have Michael Myers in the cell. I'm just like, what? Okay.
and then the whatever. I guess the druid guy.
The Thorn. It was the guy from the Cult of Thorn. The doctor. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
They let him through.
They get started on those. Those are. It's funny because like the Halloween franchise, Part 4 is my favorite one. Part 4 is my absolute favorite.
It's the best. It's 1 and 4.
Yep, it goes 4-1, 4-1-2 for me. Those are my. I like those. There's a lot that's good in that franchise that gets kind of poo-pooed. Like Season of the Witch is
that movie.
Probably one of the best. If you take the Halloween moniker off of it, one of the best dark standalone horror movies of the early '80s.
Yeah, everyone dies, or the kid. Most of the kids die. At least who's ever watching that channel, because not all the channels get cut off at that. Yeah, if it was called Season of the Witch, we would never be speaking about how bad this movie is. We would be talking about how great it is. It was a great little one-off horror movie, and everybody was saying it's the damn best. And nobody would say anything bad about it because people haven't watched it. It's what I call fake rage. They fake rage. Oh, it's a fucking movie. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you a Halloween expert? Like, because if you are and you watch this movie, you would understand as a human being that, okay, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to do an anthology franchise series. It didn't quite work out, but this movie's a great hidden gem movie, or not hidden. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
that people don't pay attention to. Tom Atkins is awesome. The friggin' villain from RoboCop or whatever, the guy I just remember the guys from RoboCop. It's like
Daniel O'Hurley or something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, he was great.
What a bastard. Like he's a piece of shit. That guy's a piece of shit. Right?
They steal a piece of Stonehenge. I mean,
so cool.
the sheer logistics, and I love how he tells you like the backstory to like it was great, and so it's an underappreciated movie in that franchise, and it still is in the franchise because it does have the name. And another movie like that to correlate it back to Friday the 13th would be, I would say, Friday the 13th Part 7, the New Blood, which has one of the coolest opening sequences because it runs through the legend of Jason and Crystal Lake. I always that sequence at the beginning of that movie, I always loved that. I was like, damn, it was so like, because they'd never done that before on one of the they never did anything like that.
Yeah, like not in a cool way. They'll explain like stuff like, but not in a cool way. It's just more like
not like that
a half-assed way to just say what's going on and then get like hurry up and tell us the thing and then just get to it. Let's get to the movie or whatever.
The narrator on that segment, everything was just it was perfect. We got Part 7 was Jason versus what's her name, Carrie. It's supposed to be Jason versus Carrie. Tina was the stand-in. You have Bernie Lomax in that. I love it. You have Weekend at Bernie's in there playing.
He's great. Yeah, as a doctor. Tina, you have to do this. We can do it. It's like, dude, relax. Like it's like telekinesis. It doesn't just turn on.
You had two horrible doctors, 2 movies in a row though, in 7 and 8, because Rennie's uncle was such a prick. The professor, he was a prick. But no, Part 7. There's a lot, and I see and get a lot of the criticisms with that, but still, the kill scenes are good. It's still Kane Hodder. You're still at Crystal Lake. You have now the thing that gets me is her bringing her dad up from dad's still down there. They never fished him out of the water, but
Yeah, and he was supposed to be skeletal, right? You saw that, right? He was supposed to be more
Hmm.
zombified because he's
Yep.
been literally just boiling away in that crummy ass water. And they
Yep.
thought the audience would be confused. First of all, do you care about the confusion level of an audience in a Friday 13th movie where you just had a telekinetic girl fight a zombie? But it's like, well, this isn't going to make any sense. Okay. Sorry.
Now we're worried about that.
Now I'm
Okay.
worried about it, right?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, yeah, it was a weak way to to stop Jason. Where I thought Part 6 was the most ingenious way to
Hmm.
stop a killer in any of these movies, maybe except for Part 3 of Nightmare, where they had to bury the bones and give them the proper burial or
Hmm.
whatever, which I thought was very
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, going back, researching, okay, spirits, they need to return to their resting place where they died. They need to rest there, and then that they can be at peace there. It's like, that's cool. They still left it open at the end of Part 6 with the eye or whatever. So it's like
Yep.
he's still kind of there. And then 7 kind of cheapened it a bit, but I kind of really like Part 7.
I don't dislike it. I don't. I still enjoy it.
So are you okay? So are we both agreeing that the remake is the worst one?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The remake, the 2009 remake, is the absolute bottom of the barrel of the franchise for me. There's no question about that.
Are you counting Freddy versus Jason in your ranking, or is that a Freddy movie with Jason's appearance? And I don't know. I'm always like 50-50. I like that movie a lot. I saw it 3 times in the theater. But it's a Freddy movie, kind of, with Jason as like a guest appearance character. So I don't know.
I can't count that in the Friday the 13th franchise by itself, because like you said, it's more focused on Freddy than it is Jason. And it's a new line, I mean, but anything after a certain point was a new line anyway. But that one, no, I wouldn't put that in the total. I would
All
bump
right.
that one. I would bump that one out.
Then I will remove that from my official ranking.
Yeah,
I
so
wasn't sure. I'm like, I don't know. Some people count it. Freddie drives the story. That's the
he
thing.
does.
Robert Englund is clearly the best in that movie, anyways. Jason, unfortunately, now he was in Part 8, right?
Yeah, it was Ken Kurzinger.
Kurzinger, and he's the guy in
Yeah.
Part 8 that Jason, the chef, right? That Jason
Yes.
throws into the. So I do
Yep.
like the idea that they found someone. God, I wish Kane was in it. I've got the whole
I
book
know.
on that. I just wish Kane was in it, but oh well.
He should have been.
He should have been.
I
Yeah,
mean, he absolutely should have been. Kane Hodder is Jason.
it is. Yes.
Like I said, I wanna talk to him and just be like, hey, so is Jason Voorhees in Pentangle? Does the Canon Films universe cross over with Friday the 13th? Because you got killed by Michael Dudikoff, so technically, Spider-Man has killed Jason Voorhees because Michael Dudikoff was supposed to be Spider-Man at one point.
I love that's Avenging Force, right?
Yes, I love that movie.
I love that movie. I had that on VHS and then I got it on Blu-ray.
I gotta get the Blu-ray of that.
Oh my god, it's so good. Michael Dudikoff is the greatest human being of all time. Like literally
He's
all the
awesome.
American Ninja movies.
Yes,
It's
yes.
I've memorized American Ninja 1. If you play that movie, I think I could do the whole movie. If I'm watching it, I think that was the first movie. No, that was the third movie I ever recorded on VHS ever. The first was Revenge of the Ninja, then Ninja Through the Domination, and then American Ninja. They played those back to back on the channel. And my first VCR that we got, the first blank tape we bought, I'm like, this is the first thing I'm recording, and I watched the crap out of those movies. Anyway,
Mine was American Ninja 2.
Confrontation. That's a great movie.
Yep. Dude, Dudikoff and James, that bar fight. Yeah, I have. That's one of my super chat bumpers. Is Steve James beating the shit out of everybody in the bar?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. My mom introduced me to Canon Films.
I should have worn my Canon shirt. Damn.
I see, dude. Golan Globus. They're underappreciated geniuses.
Yes.
But back to Friday the 13th.
Okay, so the ranking. Okay, so
yeah.
it's like we will get to this ranking. Yeah.
We will. We got the 2009 reboot is at the bottom. That one's at the bottom of the barrel. What's your next one that you would put down there?
Okay, so here's where we're gonna lose all the audience right now.
Okay.
My next worst one is Friday 13th Part 1. I know that's blasphemous, but Jason's not in it. I love Betsy Palmer. I think
Yeah.
she's great. I met her. I got her autograph. She hugged me. She said, Jason, because my name's Jason. She's like, you're my boy. And she signed to, it was so great. I just want to make it clear from here, like the rest of the movies, except for the remake, which I'm still okay with, but it's the bottom. The rest of them, I love them all. So ranking was very difficult. I didn't go by Jason's screen time, but like that had to be a factor. So I'm putting part one is between part one and Jason Goes to Hell. So that'll be my next one as the worst. But Jason isn't Jason Goes to Hell, and he looks pretty cool. And just part one, I don't know. It's a great movie, obviously, and I love it. And I know half the audience is going to be like, this guy's insane. But there's no Jason in it. I don't know what to tell you. There's no Jason in it.
Right.
That's it.
No, that's fair. Mine would be Jason Goes to Hell.
Yep.
Is number, it would be number 2 as far as
Yep.
being from the bottom. I couldn't, like, it started with prom. Like I said, I went to see that in the theater, and I'm like, you've got the FBI, like,
Yep.
I was like, because you'd never really seen that before. It's like they did that with Michael Myers, but now with Jason Voorhees, it's like,
Right.
oh wow, okay. And then all of a sudden, it is into he's the slug who's jumping body to body, and you're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And one of the cool things was Kane Hodder snuck in and played one of the cops who got killed in the hallway by the corner. It was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Kane got his appearance there. But Sean Cunningham and Adam Marcus, I want him to get rid of that damn mask, and I just no, miss me with that. That's iconic. You can't take that away from him. So Jason Goes to Hell for me is the next one. And that was be next for you.
That would
too?
be next for me. Pretty much same reasons. It's the thing is, it was disappointing. It was the first one where I had the opportunity to go to the theater, and unfortunately, I just couldn't go. In Canada, they're strict. Like I got carded at Time Cop, for Christ's sakes, with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I'm like, really?
Holy shit!
In Canada, the rating system is very lax. Like we'll get rated R for, like, I got American Psycho, the extended version with him like banging the 2 girls, looking in the mirror while doing it. Like that entire thing was in the theater, and it was just rated R. It wasn't NC-17 or any of that. But
that wouldn't be rated here.
Yeah, but in Canada though, they'll just card you, and they will not let you in. Like I got carded at Showgirls. I went to go see Showgirls, yes. But it's like you did get carded. So if you can get through, you're okay. So you have to do the sneak attack or something. But like I couldn't see Jason Goes to Hell. So when I saw it, I was so excited. I thought the kills in it are great, but it's not Jason till the very end and the very beginning. Yeah. So it's disappointing. I bought the poster. Like I was like, yeah, because I got the Jason X poster. I got Jason Goes to Hell. I got part 7. I've got I think I have part 2 or something. So it's like I was so pumped, and then it was a bit of a disappointment. So yeah, same reasons as you, pretty much. Not enough Jason, and what the hell. So
yeah, anyway. it was a letdown after what 4 years in between movies. To think we were like 4 years. This is such a long time between Friday the 13th because it got spoiled for a decade. Right. But then we've been 14 without anything.
It's crazy.
So what's your next one?
Okay, so after Jason Goes to Hell, I'm gonna do Jason Takes Manhattan, which it's not so much that I don't like it. It's just that, like, he's not it was like, I'm waiting for Manhattan. He doesn't really show up, but everything else, he looks pretty good. I like the girl. I just forgot her name. I had it in my
you're talking Rennie.
Rennie. I liked her. I thought she was very attractive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
she still looks good.
She still looks good.
She still looks good.
So I really liked her a lot, and I liked the Manhattan parts, and I just felt it was like, it wasn't as gory, and I know it's not their fault, but I can only review what I saw, and it wasn't as gory, and I was a little bit disappointed. But the boxing match is great with the head off. Kane Hodder looks cool. I love the fact that in part 7 the mask broke open, and then it's back together because the boyfriend's using a mask to scare his girlfriend, but he knew enough to put the axe damage from part 3. And I was like, okay, they're just making up excuses to have the mask, which I love. I actually like that. I like when they're a bit lazy and they're like, just get the mask back, whatever. So yeah, it's just that's where it fell in the numbers, because I like the other ones a bit more. That's it.
Okay. Mine for let's see.
So third one
This
down, and then you got to do the fourth one down.
Yep, my third one would be oh, it's tough. But I'm gonna go with Jason X.
Jason X, yeah.
I enjoy it, but as far as like my main line goes, it's gotta go there. Like I said, not really a Crystal Lake type movie. It was cool to see David Cronenberg with his guest appearance in the beginning. I was like, it's Cronenberg.
Yes.
But no, it was cool. Some really great kills. Something that we'd never seen before. I loved when he got upgraded and he was fighting the
Uber
hot redhead
Jason.
android.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one falls down for me. And then number
the next
4. Whew, that one, and I'm not too far removed from Hugh here, but I'm gonna go part 1.
Part one. Okay, yep.
Yep. Great movie. Great movie.
Yep.
No animosity towards it, but there's no Jason figure in it. That's what part 5 has over part 1. Plus,
Right.
part 5 has double the body count almost. So
It has like 22 deaths. It was
Yeah.
a death every 5 minutes if you do the math and just
Mhm.
like divide it.
yeah,
Yep.
that's a fucking body count right there.
Yep.
What do you got next on your
So
list, Jay?
now I'm at Jason X. Yeah,
Okay.
Uber Jason is really cool. I do like going in space. I think that's hilarious. I love replicating, using like the holodeck of Star Trek to create Crystal Lake, which the physics there didn't make any sense, but I loved it. I took a Cronenberg course in university. I did a report on Existenz. I love Cronenberg. I own all of his movies. I love him in Nightbreed as the killer in Nightbreed with that weird mask. If Cronenberg is even remotely involved, I'm like, I love it. I love his voice. I don't know. I own every movie. His son started making movies. I'm like, buddy, I'm gonna buy all your son's movies too. I don't care. It's like I haven't watched Possessor, and there's a new one coming out. I haven't watched that. I was like, I'm just buying it. It's like I love Cronenberg. He's one of my favorites. Probably my second or third. It's like John Carpenter's my first. So he's in my top 3 directors. So it just I was stunned. I didn't know he was going to be in it. It was the first one I saw in the theater.
Okay.
And I was able to go to the theater and see it. I was hooting and hollering the whole way through. I'm like, this is the damn best. Uber Jason. As soon as that figure came out, I could not buy it fast enough. I know the movie is a bit trashy, but that makes it a little bit better for me. I like a little bit of sleaze, a little bit of schlock to it. So it's still fun. It's a fun movie. So that's where I'm at with that one.
I saw that in the theater too, and
it
was fun. Like I said, I'm the positions of some of these movies on my list does not necessarily denote my affinity for them,
right?
And that is one of them. It's fun. It's not a great movie, but it's fun, and the concept. I understand what they were doing, what they were trying to do with it. They had Leprechaun in space. Why the hell not Jason?
I love Leprechaun in space.
Number 5 for me. I'm gonna go. I'll probably on number 5. It'd have to be The New Blood.
Yep. Okay.
Part 7. Like I said, good movie, good kills. There's enough there to push it down for me. But like I said, not a terrible movie. Don't really hate it, but it's not in that upper echelon in the franchise for me at all. I like Tina. I like the character.
I like Tina a lot. Yeah.
I liked what they were doing, what they tried to do. I like the one girl. I can't think of her name. The little nerdy girl. And she has her makeover. Good. She did. I thought she was cute before, and then I have a thing for that 80s hair with the bangs and the Aquanet and stuff. You grew up in that decade. It's like you can't help, you just always gravitate back to that. But yeah, then, she got all dialed up and then she gets killed. I'm like,
Yep. Jason,
but no.
Bastard.
Yeah, right? All she wanted was some dick. That's all she wanted. That's all she was trying to do is get dick down just one good time.
Time.
And Jason, the most effective cock block there's ever been in the state of New Jersey. What do you got next?
So here's where we're in the top. So our bottoms were very close.
Mm-hmm.
New Blood was the only one I didn't have in the bottom. The next one for me would be part 3.
Okay.
I love part 3 though. It's my book report. I saw it in 3D. I love it. I just like the other ones a little bit more. I like Chris. I thought she was pretty cool. I do like Shelley. I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea that the guy's playing the pranks, and then you're not sure if it's him there, and then you're like, oh my god, shit,
Yeah.
it's Jason. So we know what's going on. I do like sometimes when we know what's going on and the audience or the characters don't, as opposed to some horror movies where we're like the characters, we don't know what's going on either. I like that we know Jason's out there, but they don't. So it's fun to watch. That was kind of the first time where that really felt like something happening that was kind of cool, where it's like, yeah, we
Yeah.
know he's out there now, and how is he going to do this, right? So I like part 3. It just, that's where it fell. So
Okay.
yeah, nothing
All
against that, nothing negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So for my number 6, I am going to. God, it's hard to disagree with that one. I'm gonna go 4 there.
Part 4,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go part 4. I like 3 just slightly better because Chris is actually one of my favorite
Awesome.
final girls.
Yeah.
That's one of the things when I was looking at these movies as far as like the final girl goes. Honestly, part 6 is my favorite one, but it has one of the weaker final girls in it in Megan Garris.
Yeah, but she looks good though.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No disagreement there, my friend.
Tommy
I was
Jarvis
like,
in the car where she's like, I was like,
just keeps shoving his head down. He's like, all right, whatever. You
I
ain't
was
gonna
like,
hear
this
any
movie is
complaints out of me.
amazing.
But no, 4, you get the introduction of Tommy and his family, and you get, which was really cool. Another really cool thing about that I didn't really figure out until I was older was the Rob Dyer tie-in with his sister that was in part 1. He was looking for his sister who went missing, and she was killed during the first movie. She was with the dude,
Oh my
the guy with the
gosh.
hat.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's
Yep.
crazy. Yep.
And that was a cool like time because you really hadn't had that, and
I didn't even get that. That's crazy. I still didn't.
Mhm.
That's insane. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yep. When they meet him, he
Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah, he's looking. Yeah.
yeah, and he tells me, "Yeah, I'm looking for my sister," and you're like. You go back and you're like, wait, you mentioned the sister's name. It's like, that's another character. And you start looking up the name. It's like, oh shit, she got killed in part 1.
Wow,
Yeah. So,
I never looked that up.
yep.
That's insane. Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, that's elevated part 4 for why not? No, now I gotta
It's,
elevate part 4.
it's a cool, it was a cool aspect in that movie.
Wow.
So what is, all right, what do you got next, man?
So next one for me is New Blood. The reason why New Blood is higher up, it's for 2 reasons. Best Jason face, best reveal of his face. It's Kane Hodder's first one. He just looked like he was just destroyed and went through hell. And I'm a sucker for powers. Jean Grey is one of my favorite characters. I was like, it's Jean Grey versus it's Carrie versus Jason. That's like the rest of it. I agree with you that it would be on the lower end, but the only reasons for me is that it was like the second or third one I had seen or whatever. Like I think I saw 5, 6, 7, and then I went back to 1, 2, 3. So having Carrie use the power, Tina use the powers, I like that, and Jason looked really cool. Soon as I saw that Jason, that became the Jason that I would always go to Halloween as. I got the chain around my neck, I put a chain around, I tore up my clothes, I dirtied up what I could. That was just like my Jason, because the part 6 Jason, CJ, had like the tool belt. Like he seemed harder to replicate as a kid to play as.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Kane Hodder one, you just had all dirty ass clothes, tear them up, put a chain around your neck. So it's like you broke through the chain. And then you've got the mask. And so that's the only reason. It's a simple reason. It's a simple personal reason. So that's why it's in the higher.
Okay. I'm going at mine would be part 3 comes right after.
Part 3 right
part
after.
4 there. Yep. I really enjoy that one. It's got great characters. Like I said, Chris, one of my favorite final girls. And Higgins Haven is a great setting, and it may or may not be heavily featured in my screenplay. But one of my favorite settings so much, I was like, oh, I'm going to use the hell out of this.
Yep.
I actually used the Harold and Edna's convenience store, too.
Oh, awesome.
Which
Yeah,
I
that's
had...
awesome.
Yep, I had somebody else buy it and spend a couple of years renovating it and reopening it, and yeah,
That's awesome.
I enjoy part three. It's like I said, it's a fun movie. It really is.
Yep.
There's if you get Jason was just a beast in that. Like, was that
Oh
what's his
yeah.
name was
It
that
starts to
Ted?
get complicated because there's so many. I think it was just so random at some time. Like three. What was the guy's name? Those early guys are very hard to even like track down. A lot of because nobody really thought too much about it. Yeah, oh, it's Richard Brooker, according to
Okay,
IMDb. But sorry, that was part three. You're saying, yeah, but Richard, yeah.
yeah,
Once I think basically like like basically from Ted, maybe like Ted White, and then Kane and CJ and like and Kurzinger, like these are the guys that are like
mm,
now like kind of ingrained into my head. But those early guys, well,
yeah,
Ari Lehman was the boy
yeah.
Jason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 2, 3, it's like it starts to get fuzzy. It's like, yeah, what was that again? It didn't feel like it was Jason until it was like part like 4 or whatever, or 6,
Yeah.
or it's like where you're like, yeah, that's because you're just like, yeah, Jason's cool, but it wasn't like, wow, I've like this is the best character. Like for me, that's where it starts to get really pumped up. Like 2 and 3,
Yep.
I like Jason, he's cool, but like it's not like the Jason that I want to emulate or whatever.
Yeah. What do you got? What do you got next?
So I said New Blood, part 2. Um, part 2 would be higher because I actually think it's a very solid movie. I think it's a great follow up to part 1. Ginny is my favorite final girl. I met Amy Steele. She's awesome. I thought she looked really good. She still looked good when I met her. She had brains. I love the dressing up as the mom and saying, "Mother is talking to you." Oh man, that's so good. The only reason it isn't slightly higher is that I do like the sack, and I have no, I don't want to say cosplay. It makes it sound like professional. I have dressed up as that Jason with the sack.
Yeah.
I do love the part 2 Jason. He's a bit clumsy, so he's not refined. It's more like Ginny and how she like fights him at the end to me is so good that I can overlook a little bit of the clumsier Jason, but I
Mm-hmm.
still liked Jason. So Ginny is making part 2. If you had like, let's say if you had part 3 Jason in part 2, that would be like even higher up because I like
Oh
the
yeah.
story. I like the characters. Having his little worshiping station for his mom with the head and all that is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene there is so good to me. I think it's like one of the better final scenes. Um, yeah, so part 2.
And yeah, Ginny is another one.
Yeah,
You had
she's
part two
awesome.
and three. You had two amazing final girls back to
Yep,
back with her
yep,
and
back to
Chris.
back. Yeah,
Um, yeah, that scene in the cabin in the end with the sweater and she tucks her
yeah,
hair back.
so good.
That's the psychology of that writing for that character was
Yeah,
that's ahead of its time.
it is ahead of its time.
You talk about they strong female characters
Oh
now.
yeah,
It's
oh
like
god, no. Yeah,
I feel like that Will Smith meme
yeah.
right here. You've got like Friday the 13th knew how to do it right. You had Adrian King, you had
Yep,
Ginny, you had Chris, like right there, three in a row. Uh,
3 in a
you,
row.
and then it goes more into the Tommy Jarvis story. But yeah,
Right.
part two is a really really good movie. Like
Yeah.
yeah, that's Packanack. That's the Packanack Lodge, right? Yes,
I don't
yes,
remember the lot. Yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah,
It was
because
like
that's
near.
the
It was near. It wasn't actually like
yeah.
at Crystal
Because they
Lake
go
or
there for
whatever.
the
It's like
counselor's training. That's
right,
the
right,
counselor's
right.
training
Yeah,
center. Yep. All right.
yeah,
And a lot of those counselors survived because they stayed in town and didn't come back to the camp because they stayed
yeah.
out
They
drinking.
stayed. Yeah,
So kudos to you guys for staying out drinking and partying,
yeah.
and staying alive that night.
And they had that one
My
girl that was like really like
mhm.
built in part. I was like, oh my god, this is like my favorite.
Oh, the one with the dog. She had the little
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, I think so.
Terry.
Yeah, yeah,
Terry.
yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, dude. I watch that now, and me and my son are watching. I'm like, God damn. He's like, what? I'm like, nothing. You'll
nothing. Yeah, don't
understand
worry about it.
you'll understand in a
Just
few
watch the
years, bud.
killing. Just watch
Yeah,
the kills.
parent of the year over here. I'm gonna go with Jason Takes Manhattan
Yep.
next. I'm just gonna say it.
Yep.
Might be unpopular, but I love that movie. Like I said, it was saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
I had a blast sneaking in and watching that in the theater. We just watched it on the channel. It won. It was voted.
Yeah.
It won the poll over part 3, which I was shocked. I thought part 4 would
I
come up.
voted for 3.
See, that's a lot of people did, and they were like, part 8 won. I didn't put 6 on there only because we just watched it on the channel not long ago, and I'm like, I don't want to double dip. The only movie I'll watch more than once on the channel is Avenging Force and The Room. We've watched The Room twice, which I'm
like the Tommy Wiseau Room.
Yeah, that gives me an excuse to throw plastic spoons. But no, part 8 is fun. It really takes the myth and opens it up, because it's like, how did Jason make it on that boat from here to, the little boat he got on in Crystal Lake and end up in that bay on the Lazarus, and it's like, is that a tributary that they opened? I've heard a lot of good theories on that, but one of them that I keep going back to is his teleportation.
Right.
Jason just teleported the fucking boat there, and I'm like, you know what? He has teleportation. He has to.
I'm good with that.
He has to.
I agree.
Why not? Because how does he get anywhere that fast? I'm fine with that. The
Evil travels lightly. I don't know.
He's not human. He's a revenant. He's got time travel. He can do that. Not time travel, but he has teleportation. So I'm going with Jason Takes Manhattan in the next spot there. What do you got next?
Okay, so between these two, our favorites are the same. But between these two, it was like an impossible choice for me. Because one of them is just the most schlocky movie of all time, with the most fun characters, hilarious kills, great nudity, just inventive, but it's not Jason. And then the other one is what I would consider to be the sort of, if you need to show someone a Friday 13th movie, this is the one to show, because it has every single element from every other movie in that movie, whether or not it's played perfectly or not. You can debate that. So my next one I'm going to say is part 5, A New Beginning.
Yep.
I love A New Beginning. I've got the soundtrack on my iPhone. I actually bought it from iTunes. That's how desperate I was to have it. I actually paid money. I gave money to stupid iTunes. I love part 5. It's the first one I saw. I can't. I know people don't like it.
No,
Roy
it's good. I'm fine with it.
Like, it's schlocky. I love that the director is just like basically almost like a porn director.
He was a porn director.
Yeah,
he was a porn director.
And I think that's great. I like a little bit of sleaze and schlock. Vic killing Joey in the beginning. I don't even know. I'm just like, what is happening? He's like, it's like, well, that's the way you feel, Vic. Just forget it. But I think you're really out of line. And it's like, and I'm like, he said you're out of line. Imagine what he would do to you if you say, and he lives. Roy kills everybody but the actual person that killed his actual son. And I thought, this is the work of a genius, because it's like, there's so many other things. Shut the fuck up, that Junior. You tell him, Ma, with Junior, would you shut the fuck up? Like, all of the characters are so memorable and funny. And Tommy Jarvis literally, like, power bombing that guy.
He gave him a fucking Cena FU through the table. Yeah. I want to take that scene and put over it.
I was like, whoa! And he makes the mask, and like Reggie the Reckless, and Pam is, oh my god, that woman is like so damn good. I'm just like, I love every minute of part 5. Now I'm talking myself into putting it above the other one. It's not Jason. I'm okay, because for all intents and purposes, while you're viewing the film, it is Jason. At the end, it's revealed that he's not. He did have the blue triangles, so that should have been and he didn't have the cut in the mask, which does make sense, because Roy wouldn't have known the damage that Jason was inflicted with, across the films, right? Man, I love part 5, man. I if I was going to do a commentary for YouTube, I would do a commentary on part 5, because it's just so awesome. We need more love for part 5. I'm the non-Jason Jason.
Yeah, that's you're making excellent arguments for that.
I've really thought a lot about this one. That's why.
You really have. So just to recap, so you've got the 2009 reboot. You've got part 1.
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell,
Yeah.
Jason Takes Manhattan,
Yeah.
Jason X, 3D,
Yeah.
The New Blood,
Yeah.
Part 2,
Right.
and Part
New
5,
beginning.
A
Right.
New Begin. Wait, A
New
New
beginning.
Beginning, because
Yeah.
Part 4 is the final chapter.
Right.
Let's see. I've got 2009, Jason
Yep.
Goes to Hell, Jason X, Part 1, The New Blood, the final chapter, 3D, and Manhattan.
Manhattan. So what's your next?
See, I've got next up. I have to go with Part 2.
Part
I had to
2.
go
Yeah.
with
So we're
Part
like
2
so
here.
close on this. Like,
Yep. Yeah, Part 2. Pretty much all the reasons you said. It's like there. Amazing final girls writing psychology. Jason is still in that human state, clumsy, not a refined killer yet, kind of figuring out his style. And this is the Jason that I believe, set up that shrine to his mom in the woods and,
yes.
and settled into that shanty out there and was kind of using that as a base of operations because he still had somewhat had human faculties about him.
Yeah.
Anywhere south or north of Part 5 and that, and it's like he's not doing any of that.
Right.
But so Part 2 is there for me. What do you got next?
So next one would be the final chapter. And the only reason the final chapter is so high is that it brought in Tommy Jarvis, who is a recurring character, the only recurring character really. So that's important. It's got the dance by our buddy Crispin Glover, which is like the best dance of all time.
Yes.
Where's the damn corkscrew? I actually don't. I would put final chapter lower on the list, but I'm putting it up there because Tom Savini returns for an amazing death of Jason. Tommy Jarvis making himself out to be like a young Jason. I think that's cool. I like Corey Feldman. That was awesome.
Yep.
I like the storyline. There isn't really a final girl in the way that there is in the other one. So it does break the mold, but Tommy Jarvis is a good character. But it has the cabin. Jason is relatively zombie-ish. Like he's in that in-between state. He's got them hockey mask. It's like Part 1, there's no Jason. Part 2, it's the sack. Part 3, he only gets the mask later on. Part 4 is like he's got the mask. He's doing his Jason thing. We introduced to Tommy Jarvis. We've got some good kills. We have some good characters. There is some good nudity in it. It's the forest. It's like everything that a Jason. It's like it is the checkbox.
Yes.
Of Jason movies. That's the only reasons I'm paying respect to it for that. My personal view is like, I would probably watch Part 2 or 5 over Part 4. But Part 4 is if you want someone to get into Friday the 13th, just show them that one, and that's the checkbox. So it's like, and then you could say, what did you like about Part 4? Well, I really liked, like Jason doing all this stuff. Okay, well then you can watch Part 6 now because that's got more Jason stuff, right?
Yep.
It's kind of got everything. It's a checkbox of Jason movies. I don't know. It's the Disney Plus checkbox of all your things that you need to check off. I don't know. It's like,
but it's not a bad checkbox list.
It's
though.
not
That's
a bad
the thing.
checkbox list. Sorry, yeah, it doesn't have it's got I make fun of Disney for their checkboxes, but this actually has the checkboxes in the right way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can live with this checkbox.
Right.
Yeah. So Part 4, not a bad choice there.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does go right down the list, and it ticks them off. No, I got to go with Part 5 here.
I'm so happy. I thought we would clash on this because I wasn't sure.
No.
We didn't talk about this.
No.
Just to be clear to the audience,
Mm-hmm.
we did not discuss this at all.
No.
We're so close. The top and the bottom are so close. You got Manhattan. Your Manhattan is your theater experience movie. Jason X is my theater experience movie. That's why that's reversed. Mm-hmm. And other than that, it's almost all like within reason. Yeah.
It is. They'll see at the end of when I fix this in post and I have them up on the screen side by side. Yeah. People are just, oh yeah, these are very close. So your next one.
It's Jason Lives Part 6, the best. It's in my top favorite films of all time. And I'm a film buff. Like 2001: A Space Odyssey is also in my top films of all time, right up there with Friday 13th Part 6. I've got Lawrence of Arabia. I've got 2001 Conan, like Escape from New York, Mad Max, Friday 13th Part 6. I legitimately love this movie. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's a masterpiece for several reasons. Firstly, it does check all the boxes. It is Jason as a zombie now. I love that the main character, who his entire life is spent on, his life has been destroyed by fighting Jason. It is Moby Dick. He is the one who's now causing it, because he, in his rage and his paranoia and his, just craziness, he resurrects the thing that he wants to kill, and now feels responsible that he has to kill it. I know it's a trope that no one believes him that Jason is back. It's a silly trope because they should, because he always comes back, but it works in this movie. The sheriff, the other guy, the girl, every single character has a personality that's distinguishable. They're not just fodder. I love that Jason is a known entity to the point where they're playing a card game. It's like, let's play Camp Blood, and it's like, I'll be the the Jack of Spades, which is Jason, and we have to find out. I actually created the game. I created my. I went to Burning Man one year. Oh God, years ago, I went to Burning Man, and while we were there, we created the Jason Part 6 card game that we made up rules for it. I can't.
Oh, hell yeah.
But yeah, Jason, he is on fire. He is efficient, killing. He gathers weapons and collects things to use later. I think that's really neat. CJ Graham is lean but strong. The score is great. Alice Cooper. I'm a Alice Cooper fan, so F that. I don't care. It's got the Alice Cooper soundtrack. It works so well together. Jason's got his theme song. You got to have a theme song for your guy. It still had the Harry Manfredini awesome music, but it also added The Rock. I don't know. I can't find the way that they feed Jason. I thought this was the brilliant way, because Tommy Jarvis like, look, we can't kill him, we can't shoot him. We've tried all this shit. Let's go and let's treat this as an occult. That he's a mystical figure. How do you defeat a mystical figure? Oh, you return the spirit to the resting place. Genius. The girl's super hot, obviously. I don't know. I can't find anything. It's tongue in cheek. It's got the eye, slightest thing, the eye, which is the James Bond shooting the barrel. So it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. They kind of know what they're doing. The American Express card, kind of floats off, but he dies.
Oh, yeah. The three paintballers in the woods.
The paintball, yeah, dead. It's like dead. It says, he goes, "Where your headband?" Dead, 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 and then they die.
Yep.
I don't know. There's just so many details. The people who made this movie really loved this franchise and injected love into it. And it wasn't. I don't feel that it was made. It was made for money, obviously, but I don't think it was made just for money. I think they really cared about making this movie. And if no one's seen this, they're thinking this is like the greatest movie ever made. I don't know. I loved it. That's it. I can write an essay on how good it is.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Was it Tom McLaughlin that directed this?
Yep.
I mean, yeah. You've got legitimate fans of this franchise that were involved with this movie. The most meta movie in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Tommy Jarvis is great. His entire arc in the movie, from the moment we meet him and Horace in the beginning to the end of the movie, his conflict with Sheriff Garris, they know who he is, they know what he's been through, and it's like nobody believes him still to this point. Like you said, nobody believes him. They should, but they don't. You have the groundskeeper breaking the fourth wall at that one point. He must think great. I'm a fart. Some people got a sick sense of humor, looking right at the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, there's totally there's kills like the couple on the scooter in the woods in a dress and a suit out in the middle of nowhere, inexplicably in the middle of the night. Like, you don't have a home or a hotel room or somewhere else. You just ride a scooter out in the middle of the woods, like while you're dressed in a sport coat. I didn't. It worked. It worked with that movie. Like,
it did.
It didn't. You're like, it seems weird, but we'll go with it. And you're like, okay, this fits. We haven't even talked about the Winnebago scene yet.
Oh my God!
They actually flipped, a real Winnebago motorhome over for that. That was, and it's like,
and he action poses. He's doing action poses for the camera. It's like, and he goes like that, and he's got the spear, and then like he just stands up. It's like, dun, dun, and they're playing the music, and it's on fire, and he's standing there like, this is like, it's like a real filmmaker.
Yes.
Like said, let's get some good shots. Like this was like their cinematography, their painting.
Yes, I was gonna say they focused on the cinematography, absolutely, and that is the way they faded Teenage Frankenstein at the end of that. And it reverbed. Yep. Oh, it was. When I was in Vegas a couple months ago. We were on Fremont Street, and I got a cover band. I recorded them playing "Feed My Frankenstein,"
Oh, awesome.
and I turned that into my intro during the month of October for all my streams and everything. And yeah, that Alice Cooper, and you know,
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
awesome.
beat it. You could. I was like, oh my god, like it's a toss up between the Alice Cooper from part 6 and Darkest Side of the Night from part 7 or 8. Even
Yeah,
my son fucking loves that song.
yeah,
If he's got my phone when we're driving to school in the morning, he will put that on every day.
that is
It's
good.
that and any of the 80s music from Stranger Things.
Right.
He loves that.
Yeah,
But yeah, our lists are literally like almost mirrored.
it's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, like I'm surprised New Begin because I do get pushback on that. I get pushback on part one. I get pushback on New Beginning one
Yep.
because I'm thinking I usually don't talk about that much. I never really officially rank them. This is very difficult, and I didn't want to put part one so low, but I have to go with my gut is like I don't really watch it that much. It's like
Hmm.
I've probably seen it out of the 8. I've probably seen it the least. And part
Yeah.
4, I actually do think 3 is maybe a better, like you having 3 above 4. I kind of agree with that. It is better. I only put part 4 because it checked the boxes of all of the things.
Yeah.
And part 3 didn't check them all because Jason's not Jason until
Hmm.
that scene where he comes to the dock or whatever.
Yep.
Um, and then yeah, like I mean, part 2 we both like part 2. New Beginning we both like. Jason Lives obviously is just the best. I
Hmm.
think everyone thinks that's the best.
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell is just a disappointment. Manhattan is. I love Manhattan because I watch a lot as a
Hmm.
kid. I showed it to used to babysit kids. I was Laurie Strode, and I would let them watch everything. So they're like, "We want to watch for Friday 13th." I'm like, "Let's watch it." So the kid had nightmares the next day, and then like, "Oh, you let him." You said it was part 8. I showed him. I said I showed him part 8. It's not that bad. Like I didn't show him like one of the bad ones, and it's just
Yeah.
that was my excuse for being a bad babysitter. I'm like, well, part 8 wasn't that bad. It's like it wasn't, you know. And then of course we just continued to watch horror movies, and I continued to babysit them, and we'd watch horror movies all the time. But yeah, I mean, so other than that, we're pretty close. Those are really the only
Yeah.
two kind of ones that
Yep.
were different on. Like yeah, Jason Lives part 2, part 4. Like yeah, New Blood for me because Jason looks cool, his face and everything.
Yeah.
That was that. It's a bit of it's not that great of a film, but I do like. Look, it did get me. You got Carrie with power. If you have powers, I'm a superhero guy too. Obviously,
Yeah.
if
Oh
you have
yeah.
powers, I mean that's cool. And Jason looked cool, and Kane Hodder was like on fire. And like when the
Hmm.
mask, like
Yeah.
it was also
Yeah.
the
Cause
first
she.
Fangoria issue I got too that had that.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, I had there was this what was that magazine called Monsters?
yeah, monsters.
I had that. I had the very first issue of that, and I
Oh
remember
wow.
my youngest sister ripped the cover off of it. But there was an issue of that magazine that up the time they had released up to Friday the 13th, part 7. New Blood was that, so it came out and it was like 88, and the issue had every kill, every weapon,
Oh
the
wow.
character's name, and I still have it's like a 2-page fold out. I still have it somewhere because I have the I think the magazine's back there on one of my shelves. But yeah, it's just one of those things I found when I was unpacking boxes at the new house, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like, okay, that fold out's in here somewhere because it was missing from
Right.
the article. I'm like, I know the fold out can't be far away from the pile of magazines,
That's so cool.
but yeah, I love anything about dude, going into the video stores as a kid and seeing the cover of those VHS cassettes was like, as a kid, that was like a dopamine rush. Like you pick up the box and you're looking at the box and you're reading the description and looking at the little pictures in the back of it, trying to put like what's going on together.
I know.
Yeah, that.
Oh my god, we had a mom and pop store. I could rent anything I wanted. 5
Hmm.
movies, $5, 5 days. And this is Canadian dollars, so that's like $2 American or something. So
Yeah.
right, it's like I'm like this is crazy. Like I rented like Demons, Lone Wolf and Cub. It was like the day of awesomeness. I can't remember. It was like this movie called Wheels of Terror, which has like a guy driving a car. You should look it up. It's like this car,
Okay.
and he banged the front of it down, so it looks like it's when the lights are on, it looks like it's evil eyes. So the
Oh
car looks like it's
shit.
got evil. Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a 45-minute chase between a bus and a car, and you never see the driver. You never see the driver. He just kills people. Like you never see who he is.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got that. And I'm like, you literally just say don't judge by the cover. Yeah, right. I'm like, this looks awesome. I'm getting it. This looks awesome. I'm getting it. And the Friday 13th, I'm like, wow. It's just you saw the Jason mask. You're like, oh shit, yeah, I gotta get this. You look at the back, you're like, oh, what's gonna happen here? And there's one where he's crushing the head or whatever on the back of one of the boxes. And I was like, oh
part
shit.
Part three, we squeezed Homeboy's eye out.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be so good. And oh man, it was that is lost. That entire art form of covers and posters is lost. Every movie poster is just the actor's face now. There's nothing exciting. We used to go every weekend and rent. Ghost Town, which you can't see. It's a poster that I have up here. It's a skeletal guy. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Ghost Town. It's a Charles Band full moon kind of. It's pre full moon.
Okay.
And it's my favorite. It's my favorite poster. It's just a skeleton, like gonna do like a draw off, like a quick draw.
Okay.
Like, wow, this looks so cool. Rent it. That's how I rented Army of Darkness and Evil Dead. The Evil Dead 2 cover was just the skull with the eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, what's this about? And you're like, and then you rent it. You're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you just that discovery is completely gone. Now I have to tell people here, go to this, download this or buy this Blu-ray or whatever. It's like, there's no browsing anymore. I used to go and look and see what was out there.
I lived before I moved over here, and it closed down in mid to late 2020. The town I live in is small, so we didn't have any huge chain video stores until Family Video came in here, and the last one just closed a couple of years ago.
Wow.
So my son and I live, my wife, my son and I lived like not even a half mile from the video store. So we would, my kid and I would walk down there in the summer and we'd go rent movies. And we would sit there because he was like 3-4 years old, and we'd sit there and I just let him look through covers and cases and because I knew the gals that worked there, and we just walk in there like, hey, and we'd sit there for like a half hour, 45 minutes sometimes, and he'd sit there and pick it, and we'd always go over to the old movies, and he'd pick through them, and he's asked. That's how he started getting hooked on these like the shark, like the Asylum type movies, like giant shark versus giant lizard and all this shit.
A bunch of them, yeah.
Like, so he's got my wife to buy him like 3 or 4 of these movies
from
that's
Walmart.
Great. Oh yeah, dude.
Great.
My in-laws love those schlocky sci-fi channel types, so they watch those too. My father-in-law is a huge comic book. Like he has almost every Conan comic ever made. I think. Like,
man.
Dude is So my son will come home with like mid to late 80s Avengers comics and Doctor Strange and stuff. Oh yeah. I've got quite the. I've got a box back here because I put them all in a box for him, and I've got them all back here, and we'll take them out, we'll read them, and he's that's I just ordered him. Well, it's for us, but Dungeons and Dragons, something.
Just played it yesterday.
Something I have never played, always wanted to, and. I'm like, dude, I looked it up because I wasn't sure. I'm like, how many? Okay, so you can play with 3. I'm like, I told my wife, I was like, you're gonna be playing with us. And I got another friend of mine who probably would jump in and play. So I'm like, because my kid, his friends really aren't like into that yet. Like,
right.
So it's like, he's like, what? It's like I said, 7.5. So I'm like, I got me and the wife. It's like my boys from high school that we still like go to the movies together and talk about all this stuff.
Right,
and
right.
It's like, he'll jump in and play. So, but
that's gonna be awesome for you guys.
I know,
I've been
man.
Forever since like 1991, I've been playing, and prior to that, I was playing. I just ran it yesterday. Like that's why I said I couldn't do it Monday because I had my D&D group, but I do it every other Monday. It's great. Yeah. Oh, if you're and your son, wow, he's pretty advanced because like if he's gonna be into that, that's advanced. Like that's pretty good. Like I don't know any 7-year-olds or whatever they're gonna be able to grasp it. Well, I guess because you show him so many movies and stuff, that's how you got to do it. Like all these kids are pansies now. Like, I'm not gonna want to bag on people's kids, but they're pansies. They can't watch anything. Oh, I don't know what's going on. It's like, dude, you got to toughen these kids up, man.
So J-Man, thank you for being on, brother. I appreciate it. This was a blast, and we are definitely going to have to do this again very soon, man.
100%, man. This was awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. You guys out there, go subscribe to J-Man. His channel link and his Twitter link will be in the description to the video. Give him your support like you do everybody else that comes over here and me. Thank you so much. I'm Etep from the Place to Be Reviews. We've been here with all of you. If we don't see you, have a great day. A pleasant tomorrow. We'll catch you on the next one.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
I could do this all
This doesn't bode well.
You're lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.